What up, YouTube? I got a lot of requests out there for smoked pulled pork. I've done this recipe a couple of times, but I never actually filmed it. So we've got about 16 pounds of pork butt there, and we're gonna do both of them because I figure I'm gonna be running the smoker all day. May as well cook as much meat as possible. One of these I'm gonna use for pulled pork. The other one I'm gonna freeze and use for later. I'm gonna prep these pieces. I've rinsed them off with water. I do a vinegar wash, white vinegar wash, just like on the ribs. Gonna trim. I'm gonna cut into this just so that it's a little bit more porous. And I am gonna inject this as well. So we're just gonna inject with straight apple juice, nothing fancy. Most of the flavor from this is gonna come from the rendering out of the fat, the rub that we put on it, which once we wrap it, because I wrap this for half of it, well, not exactly like the ribs, but I wrap it for half of it once it's no longer taking smoke to seal in the juices. And then the injection will also help with flavor and moisture. This vinegar wash is nothing more than just getting that slimy coating off. That helps the binder. I'm gonna use yellow mustard as my binder again. And this helps clean it up so that the binder works a little bit better. After you hit it with the vinegar, give it another rinse with cold water just to wash off extra vinegar. Now I'm injecting this with just straight apple juice. You can inject it with any kind of mixture that you want, but I found that with pulled pork, it's delicious even if you don't inject it. I just do it because it adds a little bit more of the sweetness and I like from the apple juice and a little bit more moisture to it during the cook. Once you pull it, I'm gonna barbecue some onions and some peppers. I'm gonna cut those up. I'm gonna mix those in with the actual pulled pork as well. So that adds a little bit more flavor. The juices that are rendered out once I wrap it, I'm gonna add that stuff in as well. So there's gonna be plenty of flavor in there, and I'm also gonna make a homemade barbecue sauce that I use that for flavoring. So it's not as critical that the meat has a whole bunch of strong flavor. It's more critical that it's cooked properly, the texture of it's good, and then it gets the smoke. Because the one flavor you won't be able to duplicate anywhere else is the smoke. It's nice working with pork, especially these big cuts of pork, because they have a lot of flavor in them from the fat to begin with. And you can do some really strong flavors with these. It's just pork was just made to be barbecued. So I pat these dry. Just makes the binder work a little bit better. Makes it a little bit easier for the dry rub to stick as well. And not only does this mustard add a little bit of flavor, but it really allows this dry rub to stick and to really cake up, give a nice deep bark. We're going to give this another treating in the morning. Seal this up in cling wrap. Put it in a drip tray because it is going to leak. So there you have it. That's it for prepping the meat. We do this the night before, let the flavors sit in there overnight. Tomorrow we gotta wake up and just start the smoker, get the meat on. The smoker takes about an hour to get up to temperature and level off. We're gonna cook these at 225 for about an hour per pound. The bigger one being 8 pounds, or I'm guessing about 8 pounds. So we're gonna aim for that for the length of the cook. We'll be using the temperature gauge on the smaller one just so that we know when to pull it off because it might come off a little bit earlier. But that's it, 225. We're going to smoke it. Once the temperature gets above 140, 150, we're going to wrap it up. Doesn't need any more smoke. It won't take it anyway. It just gives it that bitter flavor on the outside if we keep smoking it after that point, because the smoke's not penetrating the meat. And then we just let it cook, let all the fat render out, get all the good juices going, pull it apart, and makes pulled pork. So our meat's been sitting overnight, a little bit longer than overnight, marinated. First step now is to get the smoker going. Get that up to temperature. I took the meat out, let it start warming up so you're not putting really cold meat on the smoker. I'm going to be getting the fire going and setting up the stoker. I'm using an auto stoker, which I'll do a review on that later because it's awesome. But let's get the fire going. We're 200 degrees, shoot for 225, so 200 with the auto stoker. I found that's the best time to get the wood on. It'll allow it to light and allow it to get that nice blue smoke burning properly before it's time to put the meat on. So now we're going to hit these with a little bit more dry rub right before we put them on the smoker. We'll be cooking these fat side down. So when I wrap them the fat side up, so when I do this, I can hit this side, put them on the smoker, and then hit the other. Now we wait. So the internal temperature has just hit 145 on both these guys. We're going to wrap them up. This will keep the smoke from starting to build up a bitter taste on the outside, because at this temperature they're not absorbing any more smoke flavor. It'll also seal in the juices so we can continue to render out the fat and not dry out the meat. Alright, I'm just going to do a little interlude here and show you guys my temperature controller. It's got a little dirty. This thing is awesome. Okay, this is the Auber, and it's the largest one, which I think is good for offsets. And what this does is it uses a PID controller in here to kick a fan on and off on a duty cycle to stoke your fire. So this goes to the probe, which you put inside your actual smoke chamber. Simple up and down to set the temperature, the target temperature, and once your target temperature is set, that'll stop flashing 225. It'll go to the actual temperature. You plug in your power control and the fan. I'll show you the fan here. Now I've used some foil to actually restrict the amount of airflow, because this large one was so powerful that every time it kicked on, it was kicking up the ash, and it was actually pushing into the chamber. It wasn't getting on my food because of my tuner plates, but I didn't want that. This thing is a gem. It's worth every penny. I forget what I paid for mine. I think 130 bucks or something like that. But it's worth every bit. It keeps your fire temperature or your smoker temperature constant. It allows you to get good airflow to get that nice blue smoke. You can walk away and let it lock in the temperature. When you open your chamber to check your food, the temperature drop, it'll start running this fan more often to get it back up to temperature, and then it'll go back down to a maintenance cycle on and off once you've closed it and it's hit temperature. So it's really nice for consistent smokes. Can't say enough good things about it. I love this guy. All right, so we've been going for 8.5 hours now at 225. It's been wrapped since it hit 145 degrees. We're gonna check it right now. It's at 180 internal temperature. I like to go for 190 because that makes sure everything is breaking down and it's really, really soft. Some people go up to 200, but I find usually at 190, if it hits 190 and it sits there for a little while, that everything turns out really, really tender. So I am gonna check it right now, but I'm planning on letting it cook until we hit 190. And I'll show you this. The amount of juice that's in there. Internal temperature is at 192, so we're good to go. So we're pulling them off. Leave them sealed up, let them rest, let the fluids go back out in there, all the juices and everything level back out because we've been pushing the juice to the outside. So I'm going to leave them wrapped up, let them rest for 30 minutes or so, see where the temperature's at after that. What I'm doing now is I'm grilling up some peppers and onions that I'm going to chop up and put in with the pulled pork once I pull it. I've got the entire shoulder, the entire pork shoulder in there, heating up at 250. It's still all wrapped up, sealed up, same way it was I put it away yesterday. Bring it up to temperature to where I can pull it, put this stuff in, let it sit in the sauces and juices for a little while. So all you're doing here is getting some grill on these onions to chop up. We're going to char all these peppers just like they are now. Put them in a bowl, cover them up, and basically let them steam themselves. Then you're going to peel the skin off, take out the seeds, and you got nice charred pepper. Look at that, they're looking good. And what I'll do is big chunks of nothing but fat like this, and just peel those off and get rid of those. And you see that nice red smoke ring there. So now we add the onions and the peppers and our barbecue sauce, homemade of course. And this you can really just do to taste. Some people like a little bit more barbecue sauce in there, some people like a little bit less. To top this all off and give it just a little bit more kick, I'll hit it with just a little bit more of the original barbecue rub. And then once you've mixed all this stuff up, let this sit in the oven while it just kind of warms. Just hold it, let all the flavors just kind of develop. And there you go. That is Jay's smoked pulled pork barbecue.